The rain hadn't stopped all day. It tapped restlessly against the windows of Alina's small apartment, matching the beat of her heart as she stared at the glowing screen of her phone. The call had come out of nowhere. 6:03 p.m. Mom flashing on the screen, which usually meant a forwarded meme or a video she'd seen on Facebook. But when she answered, there was no laugh, no greeting, just shaky breathing. "Elena," her mother said softly, her voice tight and tear-soaked. "It's Dad." Elena froze, clutching the phone closer. "What happened?" He collapsed this morning." Her mother sniffled. "At work. They rushed him to the ER. The doctors say it's serious. His heart, blood pressure, something. We don't have all the answers yet. They're doing more tests tomorrow." Everything blurred. Her father wasn't young, but he wasn't old enough for something like this. Elena's mind scrambled through images. Him fixing the sink with that stubborn grunt, laughing at his own jokes, burning pancakes every Saturday morning like it was a tradition. "I'm coming down there," Alina said instinctively. No, honey, you don't need to," her mother interrupted. "He's stable now. He doesn't want you driving all that way in this weather. What we really need, what we're struggling with." Her mother hesitated. "The bills, Elena. Insurance is being difficult. The deductible is massive. They want it up front." Alina didn't even ask how much. She didn't care. She already knew what she'd do. "Tell me what you need." There was silence on the line, just the quiet hum of a hospital room in the background. Then her mom finally said it. 2,800. We're short, and they need it tomorrow." Alina looked around her tiny apartment. Barely heated. Furniture she got from Craigslist. A coat hanging on a chair with threadbare sleeves. That money was her cushion. The safety net she'd built from skipping takeout, walking instead of taking ride shares, working overtime at a job that barely acknowledged her. But this wasn't about comfort. It was her father. "Okay," she said. "I'll transfer it tonight." Her mother cried. Thanked her over and over. "You're our angel. You know that. I told your dad we could count on you. I told him." Elena felt warm then. Tired, but warm. She didn't get a lot of credit growing up. Her siblings were louder, sheenier, always closer to her parents' hearts. But this mattered. This proved she was the reliable one. The one you called when things got serious. After she hung up, Elena sat on the edge of her bed and stared at the wire transfer screen. 2,800, her finger hovered. She thought of the car repair she'd need in a few weeks. The student loan bill. The deposit she'd saved for a better apartment. The small, flickering hope of a vacation she'd never taken. Then she pressed send. She stared at the confirmation screen for a long time, waiting for the regret to hit. It didn't, not yet. Only the cold quiet of her apartment, and the storm outside. The next few days passed in a haze of worry. Her parents didn't give much in the way of updates. Just brief texts, generic replies. "Dad's okay, still in testing. We're home now, but taking it easy." Each message was short, impersonal, as if she were a co-worker, not their daughter. But she told herself they were tired, overwhelmed, focused on recovery. She let it slide. She let a lot of things slide. Like the fact that no one called to say thank you again. That her siblings didn't even reach out. That her mom didn't even ask how she was doing after draining her savings. But Alina was used to that. She told herself it didn't matter, as long as Dad was okay. A week later, Elena sat on the floor of her apartment, heating a can of soup over a tiny electric burner. Her fridge was empty except for almond milk and mustard. Rent was coming up, and she'd need to scramble to make it work. Still, she smiled when she saw a picture on the fridge, a family photo from 2 years ago. Christmas morning, her siblings in matching pajamas, her parents beaming. She wasn't in the photo. She'd taken it. "Next time, we'll include you," her mom had said back then. Elena had believed her. She always did. It started like any other Tuesday. Elena was at her desk, halfway through a bland turkey sandwich and answering emails she didn't care about. Her coworkers buzzed around her, talking about fantasy football, someone's birthday, and whether the vending machine had restocked pretzels. She wasn't listening. She was tired. Not just from work, or from skipping coffee again to save the last few dollars in her account, but from carrying a weight no one else could see. She hadn't heard much from her parents since that tearful call. The last update had been a casual text from her mom. "Dad's resting. Doctor says his pressure's better. Just taking it day by day. No phone calls. No photos. No thank you." She told herself it didn't matter. Until that moment, Alina was scrolling through Instagram out of habit, barely paying attention. Pictures of dogs, babies, couples on hikes pretending they weren't sweaty. And then something familiar caught her eye. A huge white ship, crystal blue water, deck chairs, margaritas, and glistening smiles. The caption read, "Family Cruise 2025. So blessed to spend time with the best people in paradise. Fun family first 5 vacay vibes." The account belonged to her cousin Melissa. She tapped the photo to see who was tagged. Her breath caught in her throat. Mom, Dad, Jason Zerta, her brother, Emily, her sister, Uncle Greg, Aunt May, her other cousins, everyone but her. She clicked through the photos, each one like a blade twisting deeper. Her mom holding a mimosa in front of a massive breakfast buffet. Her dad with a Hawaiian shirt and a daiquiri, posing with a limbo stick. Her siblings laughing on the beach, wind blowing through their hair, matching t-shirts that read, "Smith Family Cruise living our best life." There were 10 posts, and 0 mentions of her. The cruise looked expensive, like one of those deluxe packages with private tours and spa access. Easily thousands of dollars per person. Elena felt like the world was tilting. She stared at her phone, hands shaking. Her mouth was dry, heart racing. It had only been 3 weeks. 3 weeks since she'd wired them every spare cent she had for his medical bills. 3 weeks since she sat alone in the dark, eating ramen and hoping her dad would survive. Now they were sipping cocktails in the Caribbean. Without her. The call to her mother went straight to voicemail. Her father didn't answer either. She tried her brother Jason. He picked up laughing, background noise filled with music and chatter. "Hello," he said. "Jason." Her voice cracked. "Where are you?" "Hey, Lena." His voice dropped slightly. "Of the cruise. You're all on a cruise?" she asked, trying to keep her voice calm. He hesitated. "Yeah, Mom and Dad didn't tell you." "No," she said quietly. "No one told me anything." A pause. Then, like a kid caught with a broken vase, he said, "Look, they didn't want to upset you. You were already worried about Dad, and they thought you'd be mad if you found out." She felt the words before they left his mouth. "They used my money, didn't they?" He didn't answer. "Elena," Jason sighed. "Dad's fine. It was just high blood pressure. They made it sound worse than it was. But, you know, after everything, Mom thought the family needed a break, something to bring everyone together. Everyone but me. It's not personal. Not personal." Her voice rose. "I gave them $2,800. That was all I had. I skipped rent. I canceled my plans. I worried every day. And they're on a beach somewhere drinking mojitos like nothing happened." Jason sighed again. But it was the kind of sigh that told her he wasn't going to apologize. "Look, I don't know what to tell you. They didn't want drama, right?" she whispered. "Wouldn't want the one person who paid for the damn thing to ruin the vibes." She hung up without saying goodbye. Then she sat in silence. The quiet was different this time. It wasn't peaceful. It was suffocating. The betrayal washed over her like a cold wave, choking, cruel, and merciless. She stared at the Instagram photo one more time, then turned off her phone. Her parents had lied to her, used her, excluded her, and for what? A tan, a photo album, a week pretending she didn't exist. She stood slowly and walked to her bathroom mirror. Her reflection looked like a stranger, pale, hollow-eyed, exhausted. She whispered to herself, not a question, but a realization. They never meant to include me. And for the first time in her life, Elena didn't cry for their approval. She burned for something else entirely, something colder, smarter, sharper. Grief doesn't always come in sobs. Sometimes, it shows up as stillness, cold, quiet. That's how it came to Elena. Not screaming or throwing things or dramatic text messages. No ultimatums. No calls to confront her parents. No grand scene. Just stillness. A cold, cutting quiet. For 2 days, she said nothing. She didn't respond to her mom's "Hope you're doing well, sweetie" text, the first since she'd found out. She didn't reply to the voicemail from her dad, joking that he was tanning like a lizard, and asking about that job she hated. She didn't open her siblings' group chat. They were all back from the cruise now, posting less but smiling still. Not a single apology, not a single acknowledgement, like she was a background character in their story. Like her money came from the sky, like she didn't matter. Elena went into work, did what was needed, stayed quiet. Her coworkers noticed she was off, but no one asked. She liked that. She didn't want sympathy, she wanted clarity. On Thursday night, she stood in front of her bathroom mirror again, the same one where she'd whispered the truth to herself days ago. She stared at her reflection like it was someone else. A girl who gave everything, expected nothing, and still hoped someone would finally love her the way she deserved. She spoke to that version of herself out loud. You can stop waiting now. The next morning, she blocked her family, all of them, every number, every social media profile, even the extended relatives she'd never really liked but followed out of politeness. Gone. She opened her laptop and drafted a message. I'm taking some space. I won't be responding to calls or messages for a while. Please respect that. She sent it only once. To the family group chat, before leaving it and deleting her WhatsApp account. Then she closed her laptop, made tea, and felt something she hadn't felt in weeks. Relief. The isolation didn't break her. It rebuilt her. She spent the next few weeks in therapy, thanks to a sliding scale counselor she found through a women's health center. She told the whole story. Every crack in the dam, not just the cruise, but the years before that, the childhood birthdays her parents forgot, the way they always bailed her out only to remind her how ungrateful she was. The way her siblings got praise for simply existing, while she had to bleed herself dry just to earn silence. The therapist listened, nodded, and one day said, "You didn't lose your family. You saw the truth of who they were all along. This was just the first time you believed it." It hit her like a brick. Because it was true. They hadn't changed. She had. One night after a long walk in the early autumn air, Alina sat down with her laptop and opened a blank document. She began to write. At first, it was a personal journal entry, a way to purge it all. But the words came too fast, too sharp, too clear. So she opened a new profile on Medium, created a blog called The Invisible Daughter. And she published her story. She didn't name names. She didn't have to. The story gained traction fast. First a few comments, then hundreds. People shared their own betrayals in the comments: mothers who stole wedding funds, fathers who favored golden children, siblings who turned family vacations into secret clubs. By week 2, the post had 45,000 reads. By week 3, it was on BuzzFeed's top 10th must-reads about family betrayal. Podcasts reached out. A small publisher emailed her asking if she'd consider expanding the piece into a memoir. She didn't say yes. Not yet. But for the first time, people were listening, seeing her, not for what she could give, not for her usefulness, but for her voice. Then the messages started. Her mom, suddenly very interested in reconnecting. "We read your little blog post. We're very disappointed. You made us look like monsters." Her dad, trying to guilt her. "You know we love you. Don't throw us away over one misunderstanding. That money was for the family." Even her sister messaged her from a burner account. "You always act like the victim. You chose not to come. Don't act like we left you." Alina didn't reply. Instead, she saved each message in a folder called Fool. One night, her cousin Melissa, yes, the one who posted the cruise pics, emailed her quietly. Just a subject line, "You were right." And one sentence inside, "They all knew you weren't invited. Your mom said you'd just make it awkward. I'm sorry." It stung. But it also sealed something. The betrayal was intentional. They didn't forget her. They excluded her. Alina sat alone in her tiny apartment, now a little warmer thanks to a second-hand space heater. She looked at the digital copy of her savings account, slowly rising again, dollar by dollar. No more family emergencies. No more emotional blackmail. Just her. And her future. And something else she hadn't expected: peace. She lit a single candle on her windowsill that night. Not for them. But for the girl she used to be. The one who thought love had to be earned. And as the flame danced in the dark, Alina whispered, "I'm not angry anymore. I'm done being invisible." 1 year later, Alana stood at the edge of a whitewashed balcony, overlooking the blue folds of the Aegean Sea. Santorini, sunset. A breeze that tasted like salt and lavender. She was alone. And she was exactly where she was meant to be. The cruise wasn't some tacky revenge plot anymore. It wasn't about proving them wrong. It was about proving herself right. Alena had planned this trip slowly, intentionally. Every piece of it, her passport, her budget, her bookings, was stitched together with patience and care. No sudden, emotional splurges. No reckless debts. She didn't want a copy of their cruise. She wanted something real. Something that belonged only to her. A year ago, she had sat in this same spot. Figuratively, shivering in her apartment, scrolling through photos of a family that had discarded her. Crying not just because she was left out, but because she was finally starting to accept that she always had been. Now, her tears were gone, replaced with quiet strength and something better direction. The story she wrote, "I paid for the cruise they took without me," went viral, truly viral. Over 1 million reads, translated into 3 languages. It made the rounds on Reddit, TikTok, podcasts, even a few morning shows. Her blog, The Invisible Daughter, gained tens of thousands of subscribers. The most unexpected message came from a literary agent who wrote, "This isn't just a blog, it's a book. You've tapped into something massive. Let's talk." She did, and 6 months later, she signed her first book deal. She didn't name names in the book, not once, but her family recognized themselves in every chapter. The guilt text started to shift tone. "You're making a mountain out of a molehill. You just want attention. Fine. Maybe we didn't handle things perfectly, but airing dirty laundry isn't classy." Then came the more desperate ones. "We miss you. Can't we move on? Dad hasn't been sleeping. We never thought you'd really cut us off." But she had. And they didn't like it, because for the first time, Alina was no longer orbiting around their world, waiting to be acknowledged. She had created her own. She did send them something, a package, no letter, no note, no return address. Inside a hardback copy of her book, first edition, signed with a silver pen, "Thanks for the cruise. E." Her publisher had invited her on a European press tour. A modest one, mostly indie bookstores and libraries, but one stop included Athens. From there, she booked her own little detour, Santorini, 4 nights, balcony suite, all hers. She paid for it in full with her own money. Not stolen, not guilted, not used, hers. On the second night of the trip, Alina posted one photo to her blog, just her feet in the sand, painted toes, book in hand. No hashtags, no filters, no captions except, "Peace looks like this." The comments poured in. People who had followed her story from the beginning, rooting for her, saw it for what it was, not revenge, but freedom. On the final night of the trip, Alana had dinner at a cliffside restaurant with candles and local wine. The waiter asked if she was waiting for someone. She smiled. "No, just me." He brought her a second glass anyway. "For the woman who takes herself on a honeymoon," he joked. She laughed, and for the first time in a long time, it wasn't bitter or forced, just light, free. Back home, she would return to the final edits of her second book. A collection of letters written to the people who broke her heart and to the version of herself who let them. But tonight, on this cliff above the sea, none of that mattered. There was no crowd, no family, no Instagram tags, just the waves whispering below and the stars blinking like secrets above her. She closed her eyes, raised her glass, and toasted. Not to payback, not to justice, not to them, but to herself. To the girl who stopped waiting for love and started building it alone.